Welcome to this new episode of Unleashed. In the last two episodes, we reflected with the multi-generation families, talking about how they have set up businesses with long-term mission, how they set up businesses to be world-class, how they have driven from passion, and how they have now successfully handed over to the next generations the experiences of doing, the practices of doing this. We also said at the end of the last episode that we will reflect on how they are bringing in professionals. In this episode, we have multiple guests who are sharing their perspectives. I'm bringing back Rishikesha Krishnan, who has participated in the earlier episodes as well. We're bringing in perspectives from Sonu Bhasin on how different organizations are bringing in professionals and her lessons learned from those experiences. We continue our discussions with some of the families. Sandeep Maini shares practices from his company. Raju Shete shares from his experiences of bringing in grooming and letting professionals lead parts of the business. Krishna Shete also shares his perspectives of what's been happening now in bringing in professionals. We continue our reflections with Ketan Patel on how he is building the right team and in spite of the challenges he has, finding the right teams in Ahmedabad. Ravi Saxena shares how he's building his organization and how he's attracting leadership to be there and groom them to take over as his business scales to the next levels. We begin our reflections with Rishi. Rishi brings out a very interesting point where he says while many of the organizations, family-run companies, as they scale up, do bring in professionals to run parts of the business, but many of them are being used largely as COOs, not as CEOs, where the direction and strategy is being provided by the family, and these professionals are more focused on execution of it. I work with a lot of multi-generation family and I've been having interactions with them. So there is a struggle. There is a struggle of multi-generations when they exist today, when the next levels, the next generation is coming and working together to coexist with the vision of the previous generation. Now, many of them are growing, also bringing in professional CEOs to work within the professional CEO coming in, not owning the dream. So this is a very interesting 3-level or 4-level coexisting. And I think just wanted to take your perspectives of any experiences, insights you have from seeing such businesses, such families, and such like a multiple set of people working together.
Yeah. No, I've seen several of those actually. Usually quite complicated in the sense that the CEO effectively becomes more like a COO rather than a CEO.
Correct.
In the sense that he is seen as the person executing the operational part, but a lot of the vision and strategy is still in the domain of the founder. Of course, you also know very well, founders don't let go easily. So often they don't provide the space for the CEOs to really grow into that and really develop independent position of their own. Of course, there are some companies where it's done. I think where the family or the founders are able to see the importance of creating that space. But I remember even at that time, pretty much the assumption was that the entrepreneurial energy and all that would come from the family or the founders. And of course, the other things you all know. A lot of it, how well that Jugalbandi works depends quite a bit on trust, loyalty, and a lot of other sort of intangible factors between the different individuals.
Correct. Some people seem to have institutionalized some of these things. Some people are still in the process of figuring out how to institutionalize their way of working. Sandeep Maini talks slightly differently there. He talks about how they have groomed internally and people run with it. They drive, of course, their values, their being world-class, their being transparent. All those aspects are very embedded into it. But there is a strong cadence and governance mechanism to regularly review, reflect with these people. And this process has released the family to focus more on new growth engines and new areas of work, while the professionals run, effectively manage, the businesses?
The thing I did was to start the concept of saying that in the next 10 years, because this was quite early, I'm talking 17 years back, in the next 10 years, we should work towards professionalizing all our companies. And we should work towards, our boards were already professional.
Correct.
So we should take the help of the boards and work out professional teams wherever necessary, and we could move out of operations and start working on strategy and long-term stuff.
Correct.
Now, so that while my father was a firm believer of in people, managing and bringing up people, we were probably too small at that time when I took over for him to feel the necessary to professionalize at that time. Although he did take professionals in companies at very senior levels and gave us the direction. The ex-managing director of HAL became the CEO of our new company in 1984, for instance, etc. But it was, we created this mandate that we have to work towards this and create a professional organization. So today, out of the 6 companies we have, 5 of them have professional teams. And 1 is moving towards that. So I think, but that took us time, Srinivas, because there were many times that I was let down. I had to get back into operations. I lost 2 years. Then it took me some more time to decide whether I should take another person because I had a bad experience. So all these experiences taught us, but didn't deter us.
Correct.
Maybe we had to look at how to hire people, what kind of things we needed to look at professionals. Maybe we didn't know exactly what the right people were in terms of professionals. And this experience taught us what we should look in people so that they could lead our companies well. So I think that took us some time. That took us some time. And then once we got the professionals, it also took us time to hand over to them and understand their style of working and accept their style of working. Because we looked at different things, they look at different things. So we need to come to terms that what mattered and what didn't matter in the group.
Exactly.
What was important to me may have been a small matter, but that may not be important for the business. Things like this, all entrepreneurs, all owners have a personal quirk. And sometimes that personal quirk helps the business, or sometimes it doesn't matter to the business. And we had to be able to accept that as we took professionals. But the most important thing that I learned in this concept, which I learned from my father, actually speaking, was the art of delegation. And later on, I defined this in my own way, is that I said that delegation without review is relegation.
Yeah.
And so I think the importance of regular reviews with CEOs, etc., became a norm in our group because while we never looked over their shoulders, and we don't do today, but our reviews are very rigorous.
Very structured. And
whether it's weekly, monthly, quarterly reviews. In fact, I got delayed today because I was finishing a quarterly review of one of the companies. We brought in that aspect where the reviews are done very strongly. We brought in also a concept of risk mitigation, which we never did in the past.
How much of the dream of being global, best in the world, how much of that you have, of course, carried it as a legacy down here? Now these professional CEOs are coming in. How much room they have to dream within this dream?
So first of all, I'd like to tell you that I still have a long way to go in the structure that I talked about.
Sure, it's an evolving.
We have to keep fine-tuning, etc. So it's evolving. I think the dream of doing global for every company is a mandate we give to our CEOs.
Yeah.
It's very clear. Today, Sun Mobility is going global. Birya is going to go global. So wherever we can, that's the idea of going global. And of course, it's different today than it was 20 years ago. And acceptability of every Indian product is higher. People are coming to us. So that is clear. But I think more importantly than that, what we have institutionalized with my father started was the value system. The value system in the company, the trust and transparency in people. And we're creating an organization of learning and leadership because we feel that every person can be a leader. So our plans of internal growth are very high. For example, my CEO of my plastic company joined me as an accounts executive 25 years ago.
Wow. Oh, that's a long
And
growth.
he's a BCom. He's a BCom. And then every opportunity I had, I gave him. He became an HR head. He became a CFO. And then finally I said, listen, there's this plastics company that is in great trouble. Would you like to head it and turn it around for me? And 5 years he's there now, and he's turned it around very beautifully. And he's the CEO.
Amazing. Yeah.
My CEO of Maini Materials Movement joined me 20 years ago as a sales executive. In between, he left me and he joined back. And today he is heading that company. Our thoughts of creating internal leadership was always very strong. And to be able to give opportunities to people. So we have a lot of stories to tell people today when they join us and say, hey, listen, if you're talking about growth, then this is what our company is today. These CEOs are all those who took opportunities within our company and showed leadership and came up. So I think that for us, that became very important. Our value system is very important. Our value for dignity of labor. We didn't distinguish too much about an MBA or an engineer, but we looked at it as a passport to enter our company, a visa.
Correct.
But post that, it was what they could learn, imbibe, and do.
Amazing. Yeah.
So I think and innovation was very big for us. From the beginning, we innovated with products, processes, systems, methods, REVA, various other things. So that became the core of our basis of moving ahead. And global was almost a hygiene factor for us. We must go global.
So global is always hygiene. Innovation is always central to you. Dignity and like opportunities for everybody seems to be something which is there. And more beyond, I think, although you say my family is first, this institution lasting beyond you is also something seems to be very important. Correct? Although the family,
absolutely right.
From a trade-offs perspective of certain aspects between the brothers, but I think from an institution seems to be something I want to build this institution lasting beyond the family to being more somebody which is there beyond us and it's always there. I think that also seems to be a foundation to you. And you also brought in the right set of minds to probably guide you, work with you right throughout. Sonu Bhasin shares an important perspective about how the organization should ensure that the professionals have a level playing ground, they have a role to contribute. She talks about how today the professionals have so many options in the market. So therefore, they should be excited by what they're doing, as well as they should have an environment where they're allowed to contribute to the direction and the success of the company.
One thing that the family has to remember is that you don't bring in a professional only when there is a crisis and you would think that you can't manage it alone, because it's not a silver bullet solution that the professional will come and all problems will get solved. It's a journey, it's a process. So it has to start with the mindset of the family, that they recognize that the way forward is to induct external talent into the organization. And then they also have to remember that the external talent or the professional has hundreds of other options outside. At the end of the day, he's a salaried employee. He's not the owner of the business. So he may be a thoroughbred professional, but he is not emotionally wedded to the family business and therefore has options all the time. And if he's not enabled to succeed, he'll leave. And then it's the family who will be left lamenting the fact that, oh, we got in a professional and look, he's gone away. No professional is going to go away unless there is a compelling reason. And everybody says that you join an organization, but you leave bad bosses. Correct. And if the family are the bosses and the professional leaves, then the family cannot blame anyone except themselves that they haven't enabled the professional to grow. So they have to give them the confidence, the trust, and it's not blind trust, it's trust but verify. And every family has their own way, and there are families that have done it spectacularly. So there are enough examples in the corporate world, in the business world, where the professionals are allowed to establish themselves. So it again, I believe that the responsibility is that of the family. You can't outsource your responsibility to someone else. The responsibility to enable, whether it is your next gen or an external professional to grow and succeed, lies squarely with the family and especially the patriarch.
I think many times even the patriarchs probably have to think about, I have to release my time to do some things better. I can't be running this thing. So like the case I was telling, they're focusing more on growth elsewhere, adding new businesses, getting new dimensions to the business, and leaving the building up this business, scaling up this business, growing up the business to professionals or the next generation, and having that kind of a clarity of how to spend time and where to invest and what are you accountable for and what are the rest of the people accountable for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ravi Saxena talks about how he has not built his organization as a multi-generation family business. He has created it like any other large multinational companies or professional services companies, where there is an equal opportunity for anybody performing very well to grow into the leadership roles. He's also has talked about how he is building a culture of planning, execution to the planning, and a strong measurement environment, which is grooming these leaders to play the larger roles as the company scales up.
I have my own interesting theory on that. I have a clarity on some of the things of level. I knew I'm starting at the age of 40. If this thing works also, I'll have a runway of about 20 years. Best case, 25, 30 years, but I'll have a runway of about 20 years. So I have to build a professional team. Had I started at the age of 25 or I had inherited something from my father, it's very different.
Yeah.
Because you can grow it slowly. You have a runway of 40 years ahead of you. You can consolidate and you can prepare the ground for the next generation. What I mean to say is that if I want to attract top talent, I don't have
they need to see careers with you. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I don't have that kind of a runway.
Correct.
I have to scale up in 10 years and then get into the big boys club in the next 10 years, which is the journey we are playing now in the 15th year of our existence. So clearly my family has never been involved with business, nor do they want to. And it's very clear to my management team also that tomorrow there's no young person, 25-year-old chap who will come and sit on their side and start directing them. And also any one of them can become a VP, senior VP, CEO also after me. And I think not everybody has the aspiration also of being the CEO, but that clarity somewhere makes it like a mini multinational. Makes it a totally professional organization.
No, that's very interesting. I think how do you bring people who believe in what you're doing and have also get to their office believing in what your dream is? Because you are an entrepreneur who's very passionately connected. Your own background has helped you to build that kind of connect to the market. Now bringing in teams, which are, and you're now growing. So growing means also needs leaders. So one is how do you bring such people? How do you groom such people? The second is how are those people able to keep this pace of growth and change of growth and proactively manage? I think that's probably the first thought, because it's a very amazing journey what you're bringing in and a very amazing push into the market. You're really redefining in many ways.
Well, the answer to your question in one word is difficult. It's very difficult to get the right people, to get them to believe in what the company wants to achieve really, and then to make them think, work, execute at the same speed that one wants to do. And as you said, it comes from the energy and the passion of being an entrepreneur. There is always a fine balance between finding people and trying to get better ones and building a culture of loyalty, belief, credibility, and trust in the people you have in the company. I have chosen the second path. I will live with people who are probably not that good. I will bring that energy every day to the table. I'll bring the big ideas. I'll bring even the execution plans if needed. And I want people to proudly say in a gathering, that here are these people who have completed 5 years with this organization. Here are these people who have completed 10 years, 14 years with this organization. In an organization which is barely 14 years old. And we have a bunch of such people. And I think that has helped. Nobody can define a playbook for the other. But I think personally that has helped me. That has helped me in Sodexo also. I was the name in Sodexo. I was always, perhaps I'm happy with the quality of people, or the quality of work, by and large, that was being delivered. And yet we stayed together as a team. We celebrated, we knew each other's families. We built a fantastic culture. We were proud of working for Sodexo. So, and the same culture, fortunately, I've been able to develop in Wondership and even better. So I think that comes from being able to take the bad with the good.
Obviously, I think a lot of people who are staying with you look up to you, look up to what you're driving. And I think that's the sense of loyalty. Look up to you, not just from what you stand for the market, look up to you from the way you are grooming them, from them to play their roles effectively. So that's one aspect of it. But as you scale, there are certain aspects of it they have to run with. Either it's a choice between reacting to situations to proactively anticipating and managing. And in your scale, so one of the things I'm looking at, even in an SME kind of thing, how do we just stay ahead of or sit back and see, am I heading to the right direction? Am I doing the right direction and all those things? So I had to help him to stay back, look at his business and take those movements to look at where are we heading regularly. Do I take action today to think about what comes next 3 months? Do I come in with a big picture of what outcomes I need to do? And therefore, it releases my time to really work on my innovation.
I believe a lot in planning and then in communication. I see a lot of people in the corporate culture, they play the power game of information and knowledge.
Correct.
And I always used to wonder whether that is what one should do. Are we letting out secrets? Are we losing out something by not letting people keep guessing? Okay. But ultimately, I realized one has to be true to their DNA. If I believe in transparency and communication, then I will do that. Somebody goes out and hurts our organization with some information, so be it. They will in the execution, not in the vision.
Correct.
If somebody does not want to communicate, we will force them to communicate. We don't want people to hold back. So I believe in this planning and communication.
Yeah.
I believe in two simple tenets, which a lot of companies in the growth stage forget, and large companies certainly do. One is plan the work and work the plan. Sounds very simple.
Correct.
But you look back, very rarely do people do that. Okay. And second is, again, a very well-known thing. What gets measured gets done. Okay. Now, what do I need in my organization is somebody who believes in these two tenets. They are uncomfortable with status quo. So they will always think improvement. They will plan how to do that improvement. They will work that plan with themselves and their teams. Number one. This is my leadership development. You understand this? You are a leader in the company. And second, get into the habit of putting measurements. Okay. What gets measured gets done. And it's so simple. I mean, it's people will say, why? I mean, we know this. What is the big deal? No. But what gets measured usually is the end year result, quarterly result. I'm talking about actions. I've always believed in actions. And why is that? Because I never had the luxury of working in an organization which was already floating.
So really, I think the way you're putting it is not the outcome, it is the actions that lead to the outcome. And therefore, I think the constantly measuring, that's a very amazing way of grooming people, saying that reflect on the actions you're doing. And therefore, I think constantly those actions are getting improved. This work did not work. And therefore, you're keeping on adding and amazing. Ketan Patel talks about the challenges he faced in terms of attracting the right talent in Ahmedabad, but with the strong vision and values and the culture he grooms the company, many of them have stayed back and are playing excellent roles in leading the company from the front.
I truly didn't have much of high caliber professionals. One of the topics is there in that.
Correct.
Now, the reason was that not that I didn't want them. The reason was that those who used to approach us, whenever you used to, वो time तो advertisement ज़्यादा चलता था. Placement agents were hardly there. There were no headhunters. What used to happen was that the people who used to approach us, I used to figure out कि यार ये कुछ is not worthwhile. He's not that knowledgeable and all because why should a man from a very good successful company come and join me? I'm too small for that. So इसीलिए lot of things I kept on doing. And thankfully from what I've appointed, I think 90% turned out to be good. 10% we had to change and all. That's fine. Then after Asil got into this international, he did well there also. So then I said, Kabhi isko board of director. Last year he is now on the board of directors. He still calls on doctors. Now I'm stopping him. Because there's another syndrome that's happening with the professionals who are working. They feel that Ashil Sara ke magic, and he does magic in the picture.
Everybody else will leave it to him.
That started happening. So 2 days ago was that only. I said, you stop traveling. He said, Kyun? I said, do you understand what's happening? When I ask a question to that guy whom we are paying 50, 70, 80 lakh rupees, the answer is ridiculous. It's because he's now relying on you only to do things. So
that is a very delicate balance of what to get done through them and what to
correct. Yeah. But as you start getting good caliber of people, you can keep telling
that will happen.
As I say, it's all about caliber. And you get better. Ahmedabad ka ek aur problem.
Correct.
Here the talent pool is very good. See, we have big companies, Torrent, Zydus, Cadila Pharma, but no comments on them. But I know the people because for me, unfortunately, I have worked every bloody domain, right? From production, marketing, HR, and everything. I have not just through my intuitivity, but also after reading and then applying and finding out what works for me. So, usme yahan ka talent pool abhi bhi today, I am not very happy with the guys who are in my market. Some are very good. Some are still, I feel like, I just keep telling Ashil कि तू ये company में से उठा के ला आदमी अगर अहमदाबाद आता है. Most people don't want to come here.
Correct.
There is a liquor restriction here. Plus, if you have stayed in Bombay, मैं कहाँ अहमदाबाद में जाके रहूँगा. So we have in HR there is a big problem. And marketing there's a big corporate communications. The kind of people, but then that's where we feel it. I have told Ashil that we have to have top class professionalism.
Raju Shete talks about how he believes in people who lead from front, who have more solutions than problems, who take the ownership of things and run with it. And then he talks about finding those leaders who are tied up with your mission. Of course, a lot of people are grown internally, but from externally finding people who are tied to your purpose of shaping certain parts of your relevant world is very difficult.
So for me, I think it requires a lot of self-conviction and courage of a person to be able to stay the course and drive that dream. Because I've got some very interesting quotes by my ex-employees in my 50th birthday book, from clients, from employees too, and from friends, which is of course the craziness and the whole thing of saying, Acha, let's do it, let's go and conquer stuff. It cannot be done, it's not been done, it will not be done. All the no's, and then you see who participates in those no's or who's scared, and those are the people who probably stay the course. Right now I'm dealing with a project which is it's complex in a way, also very high stress. Now I am not sure any other person in that person's shoes would have collapsed by now. And this person is unassuming, very soft-spoken, he never gives up. He works 15 hours a day, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Wow.
Committed to the cause, will always find solutions, never finding problems, thinks it through. And he used to be with us 25 years back. He went out, he joined somebody. Then when I got this project, I've been talking about 2-3 years. I really liked the guy. So I said, one day we'll work together. And as divine intervention would have it, he came and he was able to take charge. And now we've got a plan for that thing. So what I'm saying is that people are complex. Different people get motivated differently. So for me, I have only one thing, that if that person herself or himself believes in that whole thing, it makes it easier. Otherwise, you have to keep coaching, keep answering questions. It's difficult because not many people can visualize. People can go from A to B. You're trying to tell them to go from A to Z, visualize this, that. So I think it's nothing like, it's like bringing up a child, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It takes the time. It's excruciating. For me, it's very simple. It's just like keep pushing.
Absolutely. Given this longer 45 years, I'm just saying this, taking this 45 years ahead kind of thing. Now you have to bring in a lot of professional CEOs and all those things. So what kind of people do you think you're looking for? And how do you think you will motivate them to dream like the way you people are dreaming to build that institution beyond what you're doing today?
No, I think we have to simplify it, right? So I think this is very personal. And if people sign up to that personal sense of purpose, feeling, and change, which is basically saying that what kind of a world we want to create.
Correct. Through your
own world. In our own world.
In our own world, yeah.
In our own world. World to change is very difficult because it's got too many dimensions.
What you are impacting, that's all.
Yeah. What we are impacting, what are those things which are dear to our heart?
Correct.
Which we will be the change agents. We will not take anything for granted.
Outside the scope also, it's very difficult for us. Now, why I'm asking this question is, we now want to bring people who will journey with us, because we had these attempts of bringing people in who probably are looking only tactically versus people who are really dream along with us and make the change. Of course, we have to raise the standards, all those things, that 5 E's you talked about. I'm not talking 45 years direction, but how do you identify such people? How do you buy them from the purpose?
Yeah, I think, two ways to do it. One is you have to keep filtering out, right? You keep sieving out. So it's like a missionary zeal, right? So you go on the missionary zeal where along the way you find some missionaries who will join you.
Yeah. And you need them today because you're scaling up.
Correct. And you got to keep bringing those missionaries into your fold to drive that agenda. And if they believe in it, if they practice it, if they walk the talk, then those are the guys who will take it to the next level.
Yeah.
But finding those missionaries is like finding a needle in a haystack.
One of the earlier discussions with Chris talked about how they have to recruit somebody better. To recruit somebody better means you have to also admit that area you don't know much and you're open to learn. So I think Krishna brings out that as a very important point in bringing in professionals.
I think for me, probably a couple of things. I think one is, again, culturally very difficult, but actually when you don't know something or you've not experienced something, feel free to acknowledge that and ask for help. Because I find that generally to be a huge challenge to be able to inculcate in people, because it's very difficult to admit that you don't know something. I think the second element is, I think particularly when you're trying to change a particular buying behavior or a particular industry dynamic of buy side, sell side, I think it most often than not takes much longer time. And your timeline or sense of urgency might not match with the market dynamic.
Correct.
And it is okay to be able to reconcile that, yet calibrate what you do to be able to make that change happen. I think those two are elements that I keep seeing, because I think intellectually and cerebrally you're trying to solve at a much faster pace than what the rest of the environment around you can keep up with.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting.
So I think bringing professionals is a big step. Professionals are coming at all stages, more from a running the business perspective. Allowing them to groom. I think different people are in different stages of evolution. The trust. I think they also want to ensure that the values are intact, their missions are intact, their sense of purpose is intact. They also have different approaches to groom them to get ready there through the organizational practices and institutionalized ways of running things. Everybody's in a different stages of evolution. The challenges one has to keep in mind that unless you let go, if you remember what we talked in the let go part of it, where Chris and all have grown large organizations, they, through institutionalizations, bringing in people better than them to run certain aspects of the business, they have grown. Some of these families are at different stages of making that happen. There's a lot of learning from their journeys so far and what practices they are making to make that happen. But many of them are getting ready to scale up to that next level, using professionals to lead and manage key parts of their businesses.